Hello everyone, Andrew here, and welcome to today's video where we are going to be having a look at the Super Mario Bros. Game & Watch. This new widescreen version released in 1988, with there being a couple other versions as well. And it is the Game & Watch interpretation of the classic NES game that we all know and love. And I thought it'd be fun to give it a play, but of course we have to have a bit of a look at the actual console itself with a little bit of a thing here, so you can set it up as kind of a clock by your nightstand. This red sticker was actually something included with Game & Watches that you could put over the battery cover to ensure that it doesn't accidentally come off, but then, you know, when you eventually did want to change the batteries, it made kind of a mess. Serial number and such. And one thing I think is kind of funny is that rather than using a traditional D-pad, which obviously did exist by 1988 with the Famicom and NES and all that being out there, they decided to go for individual buttons for each of the directions. You also, of course, get a jump button and then your various game time and alarm buttons at the top. Overall, it's a very nice looking Game & Watch though, and I thought it'd be fun to give it a playthrough, so let's do that now. Alright, so here we are a little bit closer up. Hopefully everyone can see everything alright. What you're currently watching right now is a bit of a demonstration that you get if you press the time button. I guess, you know, just want to check that time, and you also get a little bit of a video to enjoy while doing so. A couple interesting things I'll point out though before pressing that game button and starting the game is that there's actually no Game A and Game B button on this Game & Watch, which is something that you frequently see on other ones where the B game is usually more difficult and maybe with some other changes compared to the A game. What you can actually do though is if you want more of a challenge in Super Mario Bros., you can hold the jump button and then press game and you'll be taken a little bit farther ahead, but more on that later. One final thing though I want to mention before we get into the game is if you want to set the time on this Game & Watches and on some other ones as well, but it's actually not initially obvious exactly how you do that, is you hold the time button down and press alarm, and it will bring you to a mode here where we can use the various buttons to set the time, and then we can press the time button again and it will save it. So unless you have the manual, which, you know, a lot of Game & Watches out there these days aren't probably coming with them, you know, I guess you'll have to look it up or such, but that's how you set the time for anyone who may be wondering how you do such a thing on, you know, a device that's called the Game & Watch. That's half the functionality there many people might not even know how to use. Without further ado though, let us actually begin by pressing that game button. And here we are. This is what, you know, the NES game is reimagined as a Game & Watch. And as you can see, the first stage here is an auto-scrolling level. I'm just using the directional buttons on the left to move left and right. Right now, up and down aren't doing anything, and then occasionally pressing that jump button on the right to get some height when I need it. So, you also saw this is level 1-1, and the way that this game works is that there are 8 levels. And so this is level 1-1, the next level will be 1-2, and that goes all the way up to level 1-8. After which point you will be taken to 2-1, which is pretty much just a more difficult version of this level, and it will loop around again until you've beaten all 8 levels, and are taken to 3-1. Basically, by holding that jump button and starting the game, you are instantly taken to 3-1, so the third loop of the game. And as noted in the instruction manual, you can do up to 9 loops. What exactly happens after doing that 9th one, I have no idea. I cannot say I've ever, you know, managed to get through this game 9 times without getting a game over. And then once you get to the end of a level here, just like this one, you can get the princess, just like that. There was also that distance counter at the top, but for some reason, when it hits 0, you're not... That's pretty much the extent of the music you can expect from this. But yeah, even when it hits 0, it still takes a couple seconds before you beat it. So now we're on 1-2 here, like I said, and then after this we'll do 1-3, 1-4. Each of the levels are kind of different from each other, and according to the instruction manual, they all have different themes. That first one was called the Canyon. This one is called the Gym for some reason. I don't know why they wouldn't call it like underground. You know, I could definitely imagine this being like a cave of sorts, but no, it's the gym apparently. Everyone remember the part of Super Mario Bros. Where he goes to the gym? I know I do. But yeah, so, and like I said, the levels are kind of different. I mean, this is, you know, these two seem kind of similar. They're both just auto-scrolling with some basic platforming, which I'm surprised I'm doing so well, considering, you know, it's more normal to hold the Game & Watch and not just play it with your thumbs while sitting on the couch, but so far so good. And another thing I should mention is that as you start doing the various loops through the game, so like when you get the 2-1 and go back to the beginning again, things get more difficult by adding enemies and such in as well. Bullet bills will come at you and different things, but overall, other than just the platforming, there aren't too many hazards that you have to deal with in the first loop of the game. And the princess will always be at kind of a random level, so this time she's at the top. So this time, and when I say level, I don't mean like level of the game, I mean, you know, height at the right side there. And I needed to time that properly with the moving platform. Next up is the burning room, and this is a little different. We have a time limit, and those are fire bars turning around. That's not initially obvious, and I panicked and accidentally got hit by the fire bar. You know, it would really help if they were a different color or something like that. And there you go. So that's how you properly get to the princess. But yeah, it looks like they're just, you know, moving platforms at first, but you need to kind of really use your imagination in that level and imagine that those moving ones are fire bars, and Mario got totally fried by one, but that was just, you know, meant to demonstrate what happens when Mario gets hit by a fire bar. I didn't do that, you know, by accident. No, it was totally an accident. And now we are in the level called the Channel, and I guess this is supposed to be like an underwater level, because there's no jumping or anything going on. I'm just pressing up, down, left, and right at this point. And, you know, navigating around the various obstacles. This is definitely, you know, the easiest that the game has been so far, which is kind of strange considering it's level 4. But yeah, you just press up and down, and there's not really any reason you would get mushed by, you know, the majority of these things. You kind of just need to stay out of your way. And what you can really do is, you know, just take your hands off it for a little bit and relax. But just make sure that, you know, you don't end up getting mushed by accident. Of course, if you just want to be really safe, staying as far to the right as possible is probably a good thing to do. You start the game with 3 lives, and you get an extra life for every 1,000 points that you collect. Doing one loop of the game is usually not enough to get you 1,000 points, so you're pretty much playing through the entire thing with only those 3 lives. So it's kind of unfortunate that we already lost one. But we're going to do what we can, and here we have Peaches once again at the top. So it's got to time that properly, and there we go. Level 4 down. That was the Channel. I love the Game & Watch's attempt to do the music. Level 1-5 is Hop. That's all it's called. It's not, you know, like a theme. It's just Hop. I don't know if they're trying to, you know, reference the movie or what's going on here. But it's, you know, as the name implies, you have to jump over a whole bunch of stuff, and there's nothing too difficult about it on the first loop because, again, there's no enemies. So you just need to, you know, not zone out and accidentally press, you know, a button that you shouldn't. Your jumps are kind of difficult to time. You can only move one section to the right per jump. So, like, I can't jump and then move 2 to the right or something like that. You have to jump right. And if you don't press the right button at the proper time, sometimes you'll accidentally land and then press right and you'll end up in a hole or something like that, but gotta make sure to stay centered. This is all kinds of weird. And, you know, go Mario, go! Don't get mushed into the wall! It's kind of funny considering that the original Super Mario Bros. Game didn't have auto-scrolling levels, that the majority of the Game & Watch is auto-scrolling. It's weird, but it's actually surprisingly fun. The only thing that's really missing from this Game & Watch is like some music. But with modern technology, you can really change that by, you know, using your phone or whatever to, you know, make it really feel like the original Mario Brothers by putting on some Mario music. What I'm probably going to end up doing is adding music into the video anyway. So you'll be hearing that. We are now in the beam room, and the way this works is that we just need to get to the top of these and get to Peach. But man, this is kind of a weird position on this one. But there we go. And that's all you gotta do for level 6. Just like level 3, it's like a strange timed thing. Overall, I really don't like that level, so I'm happy it went as well as it did. We are now in the maze, though. I guess this is probably inspired by, like, the 4th castle and the 7th castle in the original Super Mario Bros., where there's dead ends and such, and you need to make sure you don't accidentally go the wrong way, or else, you know, it's not going to end well for you. There's also an interesting gimmick that happens at the very end of this level, which I won't spoil, but you know, pretty much just gotta keep doing this. I'm not sure if the levels are completely random. I've never paid close enough attention to know if they're completely random, or if it just pulls from, like, a very obvious set of obstacles. Because as you can see, things are really repeating in this level, but as you can tell from the distance meter at the top, we are getting closer to the end, even if we are seeing terrain that looks somewhat similar. Obviously for memory issues, I'm sure. you know, things have to be condensed and repurposed and such. But if you didn't fall for that dead-end trap the first time, you're probably not going to fall for it like the 5th time. Like, man, maybe I should have gone up and gotten stuck in that hole. But, you know, you're not going to do that. Even if you do that once, you're definitely not going to do it twice. No! Ugh, I messed up the jump a little bit. Okay. But thankfully, we got past all that, and that brings us to the gimmick. At the end of level 7, the maze. It might not look like it, you have to use your imagination, but these are actually pipes. And what will happen is, 2 of them will take you back to an earlier point in the level, while 1 of them will allow you to beat the level. So let's try this one. And I find that the left one, I think it's always the same depending on the loop. Or maybe I just have really good luck. But the left one seems to be the one that you want to go in on your first loop at least. And that let us beat the level. Now, very strangely, this is the last level of the game. And it's the one that's closest to traditional Super Mario Brothers style. Whoa, okay, Lakitu shows up. I've never actually stood here just, you know, and talked that long. But it's pretty much just move to the right. There's fire bars and move to the right. There's not really a time limit or anything like that. You just gotta do it all properly. And yeah, I've never stood on a screen in the first loop that long to know that Lakitu shows up. That was kind of scary, actually. But yeah, it's funny because this feels the most like the original Super Mario Brothers out of anything that we've done so far. Because it's not auto-scrolling, and it's kind of just, you know, playing a castle level, pretty much. You do have to go really far, though. Like, as you can see that distance in the top right, this goes on for quite a while. And it's very easy to make a mistake along the way. But I was going to make a comment, actually, before, what's it called? No, something that was in the back of my mind I wanted to mention about this level is that there's no time limit, so just take your time and watch what's going on. But apparently Lakitu, I guess, does show up. Ugh. I just pressed right so many times you didn't even really get to see Mario move to the right. Otherwise, though, it's not too difficult. Just gotta be careful. It's especially really awkward just playing with my thumbs on the couch like this. And there's no music. It's kind of just, I guess, the sound of the fire bars turning around. And as you can see, once again, as I mentioned, there's just not enough points in the first run to get a 1-up. So we're really down to, I think, how many lives? We should have 2 left. Even though there's only 1 Mario at the top, I think that indicates like an extra life. Extra life and life is like a funny term when it comes to video games. I guess extra lives is like, you know, how many more lives you have than the one that you're currently using. Okay, so how do you even time this? Just mash that button. Ooh, okay, 15 distance to go. Don't panic. Again, it's not helped that the platforms look the same as fire bars, so sometimes it plays tricks with your mind, like what am I supposed to be standing on and what am I supposed to be avoiding? Alright, we're at 0 now. Now it becomes auto-scrolling again. It's very nerve-wracking. And there you go! We saved Peach, everybody! That is the first loop complete of the Super Mario Brothers Game & Watch. We got an extra life for that. Hooray! And that takes us back to L2-1. So I guess, you know, loop 2, level 1. And let's see, how long does it take for differences to show up? Like, there's a bullet bill. And yeah, that was nerve-wracking. I'm actually very happy that this went as well as it did. Just gotta be careful. I'm not sure if we're gonna play the entirety of the second loop. But you can hear, like, when the bullet bills are coming and such. And I don't know if it's the exact same pattern as it was before, just with the bullet bills added in, or if they changed it up at all. Could be exactly the same. It all looks kind of the same. In terms of, it's just like a bunch of platforms coming at you. Oh, we gotta be, yeah. Whoa! That was kind of weird, because it was coming at me. And I tried to wait as long as possible before jumping up there. And we got another bullet bill coming at us. Yeah, it's definitely kind of strange the time, and I'm not prepared for this in the slightest with the position I'm sitting at. And it does seem like it's probably a little bit different, and it really boots you like all the way back, you know? The first Mario Brothers did have checkpoints, but the World 8 didn't, so it's like every single level is from World 8. Alright, let's get this one more honest attempt And let's see just how far we can get. Overall, though, I think it's a really fun game. This is definitely one of my favorite Game & Watches out there. Just because, you know, it really feels like it's a constantly changing game. Just like how the first Super Mario Brothers really kind of revolutionized video games, where it was 32, I mean, for the most part, different levels. There's some repetition in there, for sure. But before that, video games were really just, you know, the same thing kind of over and over again, but it got a little bit more difficult. But Super Mario Bros. Really introduced that concept of different levels, different worlds, and you can feel that in this Game & Watch as well. I hope that everyone at some point has the chance to try it out. It was unfortunately never featured in a Game & Watch gallery game. I guess probably because it would be, you know, it's definitely more complicated to add this in than it is to add in like Ball or something like that, and to make a modern version of it as well. It would definitely take a significant amount of work compared to what the other games would, but if you ever have the chance to get your hands on it, I highly recommend it. Now, see, how am I supposed to avoid that? Let it go by. And see, I didn't press my right button at the correct time there. I accidentally landed, then pressed right, and just short of 700 points. Oh, we even got kind of the game over music there. That's it, everyone. That is the Super Mario Brothers Game & Watch. I really hope that you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if there's any other Game & Watches you would like me to have a look at. I think that they're just such cool devices, and even all these years later, they are still a blast to play. So thanks again, and hope to see you next time. Thank you so much once again for checking out my videos. I really appreciate it, and if you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and subscribing, as it really helps my channel out. With that said, hope to see you next time.